podcast. I believe we're on 24, 20, 25?
23.
23. Well, I'm way off. We are awaiting co-host. He had some business to take care of that had to do with water, I guess.
Ooh.
Yeah, but we're gonna do our final predictions. We won't probably get into the massive debate like we did last time. So co-host will be here shortly, and I'm joined here by Robert.
Hey.
Mailing. But I wanted to talk about a few local city issues before he arrived. There were some things that came up today. One of the big things that came up today is the former fire chief, Sedaris. Have you been reading about this?
I kind of.
Okay. So they're filing motions, and the court will decide by Friday if they can submit the excuse that Jim Sedaris' computers were hacked by his former coworker, Pat Warren, and Pat's been named already in the news, and I figured that's who they were talking about. Now, if you remember, Pat was the one that was fired from the city for hacking Jim Sedaris', as I understood it, work computer, and causing lots of issues and problems, and they fired Patrick Warren. And Patrick, that was in 2014, and Patrick, was diagnosed with, I don't know if it was bipolar disorder.
Borderline?
Something like that. I've talked to Patrick several times after he left the city. He's doing very well, and so then when I found out this happened, I'm not going to defend Patrick. I mean, obviously, there is a possibility somebody can do that, but let's look at some of the other things around this case. First off, put yourself in Patrick's shoes. Okay, hacking his boss's computer to get dirt on his boss, well, that's something people would do. He lost his job over it. Planting child pornography on your boss's computer, you would have to put you're a computer guy, Robert.
Yeah.
You would have to put yourself at risk acquiring the child pornography.
Kind of, yeah.
Kind of, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
To put it on the computer. So that's my first issue I have with this not being plausible. Obviously,
you could proxy it or something like. Long story short, there's technical ways around that.
There is.
Yeah.
Okay. The other issue I have with this is when he was first arrested, some of the evidence that was presented was, and of course this could all change. You don't know what's happened over 2 years now or whatever. But a couple of things that I remember them talking about is how James was using his phone and driving around neighborhoods trying to get access to free Wi-Fi. So, how does this relate to someone hacking your computer if you're using your phone to try to access free Wi-Fi to download child pornography? Number two, one of the big kickers in this case was he was at a firefighters convention, Jim, and was caught trying to download child pornography in his hotel room. Now, hackers can only do so much. And in my opinion, even if you're really good at it, how could you download, how would you know when Jim was in his hotel room and to get him to download child pornography?
Yeah, that's getting a lot sketchier from a technical end.
So on a good note, the courts are looking at this. They don't know if they're going to let them submit it.
It's not impossible, but it's
But they're claiming they have evidence.
Okay.
So there could be a possibility that it could happen. I just look at certain things and kind of look at this and go, it's kind of like a last minute defense. Another thing I wanted to talk about is I was telling Robert before the show that they had an update on the Levitt Pavilion. For those of you who don't know what the Levitt Pavilion is, it is going to be a free concert venue down by Falls Park. It's beautiful. The taxpayers of Sioux Falls have put in over $2 million towards it. We're going to put $75,000 a year into maintenance in it. That is an ongoing cost by the taxpayers. Free concerts. The Levitt's going to put on free concerts, but the city will be able to rent it out for other stuff. The Levitt is contracted to use it 80 days out of the year. The city gets to use it for the rest. Now, in other communities that have the Levitts, one of the big things about having a free concert is that you don't show up to a free concert and have to buy a bunch of food or buy a bunch of drinks. Pop, beer, wine, whatever. So tonight they were discussing that. They're going to have food trucks, which is great because some people are just lazy and they don't want to bring their own food. Some people, and they're going to have beer and wine vendors, which is okay with me also. But then when they were asked about, basically how I would have questioned is the other Levitts allow this, they said that you can bring your own cooler and you will be able to bring your own food. You will be able to bring your own pop. You will bring your own water and other beverages. Alcohol is one of the beverages they will not allow you to bring. Now, Robert jokingly said, were they going to be checking people's coolers for alcohol?
Yeah.
And how are you going to police that and whatever else? I believe, and I already told the city council tonight in a text message, I will fight this vocally because I believe that if people are allowed to bring free food and free pop, or not free, but bring their own,
Yep.
you should be able to bring your own beer. Because isn't that the whole point of having a free concert in the park? Bring your own stuff. So I'm a little disappointed on what they're planning. The other reason why I'm a little disappointed in this is obviously there has been no discussion with the public about this. This was a decision that the Levitt and the city parks decided to make on their own, once again, without consulting people. They already said they're going to put an RFP out for the alcohol, which makes sense. I don't have an issue with that. But would you rather buy a $5, Coors Light tap, or would you rather pay $5 and get a 6-pack of Coors Light? I wouldn't drink Coors Light anyway, but either way, I believe if you are of age, you should be able to drink alcohol, and I wouldn't even bring your own, and I wouldn't even be opposed to saying, hey, if you want to bring your own beer, that's fine. Please come over and get a wristband, so if a police officer walks by and seeing you drink your own beer, they don't say, I want to see your ID. So I'm okay with even the IDing part. I just have a real issue with saying, well, if you don't drink, you can bring your own food and bring your own pop, but you can't bring your own beer. That's kind of silly. And one more thing, and hopefully co-host will be here when I get done with this. So the ACLU is doing this fantastic thing, and I applaud them for it. They're giving rides to the polls. They're also helping people who don't speak English that well or don't speak English at all, helping them with the ballot process, helping them with absentee voting. Of course, the conservatives thinks it's probably some liberal conspiracy, to get the votes, but I'm all for it. If you're an American citizen and you are eligible to vote, you should register to vote and you should vote, but you should also do your research. So they're helping people with doing research and stuff like that. Think it's great. Here's my issue with the ACLU. We warned the ACLU, Bruce and I, that the school district, before the school district election, they could easily do this with the midterms. They didn't have any precincts in the southern part of the city. They were, what was the one thing? The school district employees were promoting a yes vote, using resources. They cannot do that. It's against state law. So before the election, we told them all this, and then we also said you should probably poll watch this. You should probably go there and watch them count the votes. They did not do any of that. They had no response. Obviously, there's probably some people who work for the South Dakota ACLU to support public education. I'm okay with that. This is about an election. And then after the election, we found that the finance department counted all the votes. There was no teachers, there was no volunteers, there was no poll watchers, and we've made them aware of that. Still, no assistance from the ACLU. When Bruce went to the media about requesting the data from the election, we wanted to have the ACLU on board helping us with this. The Argus is with us, KSOO, Patrick Lally, and the ACLU still has no respondent. So if the ACLU is so concerned about fair elections, then fair elections, then they really should be looking into the school bond election, in my opinion. But And co-host has arrived, so we can get into our predictions. I went over some local issues.
I don't think that at an 85% approval rating that anybody should really be looking at was overwhelming.
Well,
and
yeah,
both Harrisburg and Sioux Falls, what maybe people should
Harrisburg
look at...
didn't have any tax increase.
But...
None.
What people should be looking at, and I would implore anybody who gets elected tomorrow to the legislature, or perhaps our new Secretary of State, to write in a rule that a special election cannot be held within X amount of days of
it's so stupid.
election.
It's a waste of money. It's a gigantic waste of money.
Absolutely it was.
Yeah. Anyway, so let's go to our predictions. We're going to do these quick because we debated and yelled at each other quite a bit last time. So we don't need to do that.
But I've got my notes this
You got
time.
your notes.
Ooh.
Well, why don't
It's on
we...
now.
Obviously, I have down the amendments, initiatives, and then local races, and then governor, congressional, attorney general. So wherever you want to start.
Well, why don't we just go in the order that I've got things, which is House Representatives, U.S., so the Dusty Bjorkman race.
I'm saying Dusty cleans this up, but no problem. I'm giving him well over 60%. What do you think?
I've got Johnson 58, Bjorkman 39.
Oh, you're not even giving Dusty 60.
No.
I'm giving him 60. I actually
I
told Robert I emailed Dusty over the weekend and kind of basically thanked him for being a positive campaigner. I said, I disagree with all your policies. I don't know if I said I didn't vote for you, but I think Dusty knows I would vote for him. And I said, I just wanted to thank you. I just said I wanted to thank you for being positive.
Yeah, he's been a very positive campaigner.
He didn't go. I mean, he could have went after Tim for all kinds of things, I'm sure. And
but the reason he probably wouldn't go after Bjorkman for all kinds of things, like you say, is because that would raise Bjorkman's name ID.
Yeah, that would
virtually zero.
Yeah. You're right, and Dusty emailed me back, and he said that he appreciated that I've been somewhat fair to him, and he said he had a few issues with Tim, and
probably people.
And I said to him, it doesn't really matter. I mean, you're so far ahead, so I guess we're all kind of in agreement on that one. Robert, What do you think? I mean, with that race.
Oh yeah, Dusty's got that one in the bag.
Yeah,
big time.
But you never know. It might be closer than we think.
Right, you don't know. And I give him 58 because the Argus Leader Kello poll, he polled at about 52. It is a four-way race, but let's face it, it's a two-way race.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna have the guys I don't know who they are.
George Hendrickson and Ron Wazorek.
George
Hendrickson.
I can say George Hendrickson.
Ron Wazorek.
I'm not even going to try.
Wazorek.
Ron.
It's a nice Slavic name, so that's how I'm able to pronounce it.
That's right.
Speaking of that, I wanted to interrupt on that a little bit. Ron Wazorek. So, he's the LaRouche candidate.
Yep.
He's the independent. Now, I know all the TV stations have been doing candidate profiles. And I'll have to give this TV station some credit. They grabbed all of them and they did them. So they get Ron. And Rons are always great. So Ron was either on KDLT or KSFY, one of them. And he says, I don't mean to make fun of this, but I'm like, whoa. So he goes, yeah, I had to help out on the farm when I was pretty young because my dad, he lost his leg whoa. That's his dad. He's haunting me.
He just lost his other leg.
oh my God. You're on about the same path. He goes, so my dad lost his leg in a farming accident, and so I had to help out quite a bit after that happened. And then a couple of years later, my dad lost his arm in another farming accident. And I'm like, okay.
Did he try another profession?
No. After. But I was trying. Never mind. I'm not going to go down that path. But I was just like, wow.
What are the odds?
Wouldn't you have learned? Never mind. Yeah. I'm just saying. I thought that was pretty weird to be bringing up in your candidate profile.
Well, I do think that the issues that Dusty's campaigned on are issues that resonate with South Dakota voters.
He knows.
And Bjorkman from the as I am of we need to take the big money out. Those aren't issues that the Wyland message doesn't really. It's not going to resonate with
Tim had a...
But the Weiland message of big money in politics, take it back, that Bjorkman didn't seem genuine when he's saying it. It was almost pain to say like he's falling for something and he feels like he's got to say it. But
Tim should have stopped.
The farmers and ranchers really don't care about that. They want to know what's going to happen with trade in a farm.
Right, and Tim really should have stuck to his main issue, which is instead of sending addicts to prison, as a judge, he saw this all the time. Instead of sending them to prison, get them help, and that was a big issue for him. But he should have pushed it more. But
I'll be honest, his ability. I don't know what his budget was or anything like that, but
he had pretty good money come in.
$8, I think.
But I literally. I mean, I've seen Dusty Johnson ads through the wazoo. I have literally not seen Bjorkman or whatever ad. Not one. The entire election.
He's had some videos that he's put up on Facebook, but every time I saw him, I felt like I was going to get sold a reversed mortgage or
I followed him on Facebook.
He asked to join a class action lawsuit on mesothelioma if I was a shipbuilder.
I could tell you guys. I'm just going to say this: the guys, I liked him, and I could tell you guys so many backroom stories about why some of that stuff never came to fruition. But we don't have the time on the show right now.
That'll be we do it for the postmortem.
That's postmortem.
All
yes.
right.
Yeah.
So I got governor next between Congresswoman Kristi Noem and State Senator Billy Sutton. I think Sutton's high water mark is 45%. That's the high water.
Well, see, I'm not with you there. I talked to John. I invited Jonathan Ellis on the show today. He could not make it, but we did have a discussion about that. And this was what I said to him. I said, if I was a betting man, I would put a $5 on Nome, but I think it's close. And I don't agree with your 45. I think it's tight. And then Bruce called me before the show, and he got information from a national poll, because first he told me this poll. And I said, yeah, it's probably a DNC or poll. And he said, no, it's a national poll. It's the latest one. I can't remember the name of it, but they have Billy at 51. I don't believe it, but
you can have outlier polls, and you got to know the samples
I think it's close.
And
if Billy wins, I don't think I would be surprised. But if I was a betting man, I would give it to Nome 52.
I've got Nome 53. Sutton 44, and the Flat Earth Libertarian 3. I think
You think Kurt's gonna knock out 3? He's been polling at 1. He ain't gonna knock out 3.
I don't know.
No way.
He's
a solid 2.
In the public broadcasting, but he really made the strong appeal to at least get me 2% to remain a major party.
He looked like he belonged to like a white power group. Did you see his hair and like? He did. He looked like he belonged to a white power group.
That swastika he had shaved on his head was like a little disconcerting.
He did not have a swastika shaved on his head. I am not judging people by their haircuts. You've had awful haircuts. I've had okay haircuts.
I have awful haircut.
I've never combed my hair like I belong to the freaking Aryan Resistance.
The big thing with
and Kurt's
with him,
cuckoo anyway.
Right, is when his opening statement was, "I'm a young Earth believer. The Earth is 4,000 years older than Jesus," which puts it at 6,000 years old for those who are doing the math.
God,
but
I'm scared of those people. I'd rather hang out with Nazis all night long than hang out with those people.
But if he's right, that means that they were made those T-shirts we all see of Ronald Reagan shooting a couple AR-15s while riding the back of a Velociraptor. Those might actually be based in reality in this guy's world. So,
what do you think? What do you think
about
Robert?
Young Earth?
No. We don't need to talk about Kurt. But where do you put the race at?
I think it's going to be like a 40. It's going to be like within like a point or two.
Yeah, I think it's a lot. I just think it's kind of tight right now.
I think it's tight. I think it's tighter than the Nome people wanted. I think the Nome campaign.
They've been extremely negative.
Well, I think they. I don't think they.
And that tells me that there's flags.
Right, and I think that there are some issues. I think that, they went really hard in the primary, and then they sort of slowed down when really they shouldn't have. They should have just thrown the afterburners on.
She spent a lot of money going against Jacqueline,
and kept it going. And I think that the ads against Jacqueline turned off some of his voters who aren't have not.
Did you see the big full page Craig Lawrence
Have
ad?
not come home. I did see the big full
That's
page.
hilarious.
Craig Lawrence ad. A good move. I don't know if it's.
I just get really chuckle when they call Billy a liberal. That always makes me laugh.
It's just in this state, because when we would talk about it over the summer, I said there's no way he's going to get close to 40. You can't make up that 100,000 vote deficit that he
and that's kind of what Jonathan and I talked about a little bit too.
And he's made up some of it,
right?
Shockingly, but I do think that 45% that was in the Kellogg Argus poll, that is his high water mark. I don't really. And
he's polling well with indies though too, so that helps him chip away. But as I said to Robert, the high voter turnout, I think actually they're predicting a high voter turnout, and I think if the voter turnout is between 50 and 60, that's better for Billy. If the voter turnout is 75 or higher, that's better for Christie.
I think definitely the higher the turnout, the better it is for Nome. I mean,
yep.
I mean they're in a position
because there's more Republican voters. That's what I'm trying to point out.
And we're in the absolute reddest of states, and
there's been 76,000 absentee ballots.
And I never would have predicted. I would have predicted that at some point during the campaign that somebody with the last name Trump or the vice president would come. I would never have predicted that the president himself would come, and then the vice president.
Oh yeah, they're scared. I think they probably have some internal. I think they have some internal polling that doesn't look good for them.
And I think that polling probably it's probably a lot tighter West River, and that's why the vice president's in Rapid City tonight.
Was he free, or did you have to pay to see him too?
It was free.
Oh, holy moly!
But I stand by getting nearly 1,000 people to show up to a fundraiser in Sioux Falls, take off for the day, and plop down money is still huge. I do think huge, it's magnificent, beautiful. I do think that Nome probably is going to do a lot better East River and along the I-29 corridor than she has in past elections. At least, she's going to do worse West River than she has in past elections. Thankfully for her, I think her big support lies East River, and there are just a lot more voters East River than there are.
Well, there's more voters East River, but I see Billy winning Sioux Falls.
I see Sioux Falls.
You don't.
I see Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls is going to be one of those where it's within.
How about Minnehaha County?
No, definitely not the county.
Right.
Sioux Falls, that's where it could be within a point or two.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see the state flipping.
What do you see on AG?
AG, I'm giving the edge to Roundsburg. I've got him at 54 to a Bjorkman 46. I think Bjorkman does better.
We already talked about that. Talking about AG.
Oh, no, Bjork. Who's he? Seiler, not Bjorkman.
Sailor.
Roundsburg 54. Sailor. That shows you how confident I am.
There's been no polling, so I'm lost on this one.
Well, yeah,
I'm just gonna say it. I want Randy to win. And as I said to someone the other day, if Randy had an R behind his name, and Jason had a D behind his name, this race would be 80-20. Easily. Because of Randy's experience.
But Randy...
Every time Jason has been interviewed by any... KSFY, Kello. If you have Brian Allen and Brady Mallory ask you a simple question, how many cases have you prosecuted? And you can't answer that question, you are not qualified to be Attorney General. I'm sorry. How low does that bar have to go?
I disagree with you on the qualification.
And they were plea agreements.
I do think.
Randy Saylor, 600 cases. Jason Ravensborg, 2 plea agreements.
First of all, I do think that we need to be cautious about nominating and electing serial career prosecutors to be the Attorney General of the state because they've only got one thing in mind, and that's to prosecute everybody. And it's a show me the man and I'll find you the crime.
Well, look at what Jackley's done.
Right,
what has Jackley done? Jackley's putting this in unconstitutional cases constantly. Abortion.
Constitutional cases aside, I'm saying we need to be cautious about career prosecutors being the Attorney General because, like Robert said, everything's nil. Everybody is guilty. Something they're just going to prosecute. That's all they know how to do. Mm-hmm. So with that, we need to be cautious about Seiler. I do think that Jason's not showing up to debates I sort of, I think he's fumbled
Is bad.
somewhat quite a bit in the media. He benefits from having an R. He benefits from having
That's his only benefit.
probably more money than Seiler because he has heavily advertised in radio.
From the Attorney General.
He has advertised heavily in radio, heavily in print. He's got the endorsement of a majority of South Dakota sheriffs.
He called himself a man god.
And he's got the endorsement of a lot of states' attorneys. And so I think that's all going well for him. Seiler is he's a government peer bureaucrat, career prosecutor insider. He had that long rambling bad Facebook video, and
here's the thing that I've said all along. People like partisan.
People don't know who he is, and he was appointed by Obama.
But he served under Democrats and Republicans.
Well, he should talk about that
22
more.
years. So you do the math. 22 years.
Yeah. 22
so
years.
That's not just Obama.
Okay, so he wants he
served under Republicans and Democrats.
He wants a federal pension and a state pension. How much tax dollars?
I'm just trying to tell you
is this guy looking for?
I like him because he seems to be bipartisan to me, or nonpartisan to me, and I believe that we should change the state, and it should be a nonpartisan position.
I would.
You should have to be a non-party member.
I would disagree. Well, I shouldn't say I disagree.
No, because what you have is things like Jackley going after marijuana or abortion and stuff because he's a Republican. I don't agree with that.
Here's the thing: is that if we're going to get rid of sort of the partisan label of it all, then I think that we should just get rid of the election of an attorney general and just have it be appointed by the governor.
Oh, that's a bad idea. Because that makes it a partisan issue too. Because a Republican governor is going to appoint a Republican attorney general.
Yeah, but I don't.
Vice versa.
I don't think removing party labels and stuff like that, Scott. And this is one of the issues that was wrong with Amendment V last time, is that it actually becomes far worse, I think, for the citizens in the electorate because they don't know what they're getting into. At least
they can research that stuff.
I know, but at least with a Republican and a Democrat, you can look at them and you can kind of know where they're going to lie. And if you're a pro-abortion, pro-marijuana person, you're never going to vote for the Republican.
I think it's hard for me to determine where.
If you don't like those things, you kind of know where these people are going to sit. If you remove that party label, they can lie to your face.
Isn't their job to uphold the state and the national constitution? Isn't that really their only job? I mean,
they've got other jobs too.
Yeah, but not partisanship. That's silly.
Yeah.
I think the Secretary of State should be nonpartisan too. But anyway, so let's go to the amendments.
So 54-46.
Well, I don't know.
To Jason.
I have no position on that one.
All right, so ballot measures got 24. Initiated measure 24.
Let's just say I'm voting no on everything except W. We'll just leave it like that. And I believe that's how it's going to go down. I believe everything's going to fail except W.
So 24 is the out-of-state money ban. That one could go.
It could pass.
I didn't see what the polling was from. It could pass. That one would.
It's already unconstitutional if it passes.
It's got total issues just
stupid.
Like IM-22 did. And it's just a...
No, this one's pretty blatant.
No, I know.
The Supreme Court has said giving money is free speech.
And people should not vote for it because it is that bad, and it sets up some serious ramifications for individuals and entities to be able to defend themselves in the court of public opinion in the state on a ballot measure. I would encourage anybody who's listening to this, tonight the poll's open. By the time you listen to it in 7 hours, vote no on 24.
And the other thing that I've said to people about that too, besides the fact that the Supreme Court has decided that money's free speech, whatever, we are the United States of America. In other words, we may run our states with our own constitutions, but we all are united. So if an idea or money comes from a neighboring state or even Massachusetts, why would we go, oh dear, we can't have their money. Oh dear, we can't have their ideas. We're the United States. We can, if California passes a law and it's good for them, why would we want to pass a law like that? If it's bad for them, we learn from that and we go, no, we don't want to do something like that. So my opinion is, why is out-of-state money so bad when it comes to ballot initiatives, but Thune and Nome and the national parties can all take all this out-of-state money.
Could take out
but
state
yeah,
money.
and anybody in the state legislature can take out-of-state money, but that's not bad, apparently.
No,
it's just for initiatives and petitions. It's so stupid.
I agree that I think that the frustration is when you've got national groups like the Marxist Law Group coming in and dropping stuff in here without like changing it one bit to make it fit South Dakota, or taking a look at how did things work here, what are we already doing, what's good, what's bad, and I think that's where the anger and the frustration goes out. This is the wrong avenue to take out your frustration on out-of-state ballot measures coming in.
Let's go to IM-25 for instance. I think it's a bad idea, but not because Philip Morris pumped $6.5 million into the state to fight it.
Right.
I just think it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
I could care less about. I could care less that the tobacco companies spent that kind of money. So people are like, "Aren't you offended that the tobacco companies?" No, because it's a stupid idea to begin with. I don't need the tobacco companies telling me.
And they should have the absolute right to come in when you've got a measure that is coming up that's going to regulate their business in this.
It is. It's going to regulate their business. Yeah.
Right. They should be able to come in and defend themselves.
That's right.
IM-24 would prohibit that from happening. I do think I'm torn on 25. I see that.
Did you vote for it, or
I haven't voted yet.
Are you going to vote for it?
I don't know. That's going to be one I'm actually going to make the decision in there. I would like to see fewer people smoking.
Then the money should go towards that. And that's what I always tell people.
I understand, but just the law of economics, if you're going to increase the costs, you're going to price some people out of the market. But on the other
and some people are just going to quit because they're like, it's too damn expensive.
Right. Yeah, but it's and
it's worked. It's worked.
No, it has worked.
Across the country, every time you've raised tobacco tax, a lot of people quit.
It has worked, but you've got a revenue source with a diminishing return, because fewer people are going to be smokers, you're going to be raising less revenue, so we're going to find ourselves in the same position we were a few years ago. I don't know if this is going to do anything to actually lower the cost of tuition, or if they're just going to offer additional and I don't know why the legislature didn't say, okay, well, geez, let's be competitive, let's figure out a way to make this work without having to raise taxes.
They could, because they have too much money in administrative costs.
Also, this is a tax on Native Americans and a tax on the poor.
It's a tax, I don't care. It's a tax on people who smoke.
Right. No, I know, but I'm just saying
to pay for education. My idea has been
for people
scholarship fund. Set up a scholarship
for people who care about taxing low-income people and Native Americans. Let that be a motivating factor for you to vote against it. I do think things with the tuition do need to be figured out. I do support increasing the cost in order to price younger people out of the market so that they're not smoking. I think we should have added also on a tax onto the vape juice and the juuling.
Oh, they'll be in there.
And all that stuff. I do think that it probably will fail, but I do think that it was a good strategy for Mickelson to cut the ad by saying, no, this money is going to go to tech schools. I should know. I wrote the bill. I think that adds some credibility to that statement, and if he brought it here and he's willing to go out and sell it on TV, I think that helps him.
And people in South Dakota tend to support sin taxes. They do. So I think it's going to be close, but I think it's going to fail.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you've got retailers, Education Association.
Yeah, they're against it.
Both parties are against it, I think.
Yeah.
It's just...
I think the chamber went neutral on it.
Probably.
I think they did. They went neutral on a couple of them.
Yeah. So that's going to be a close... I don't think it's close in my mind, because I don't know what I'm going to do, but I think that ultimately the tax fails.
Let's go to W. I think it's going to pass, but it's going to be close.
I think it very likely could pass. I hope that it does.
Because I think people are very mad about IM-22.
Yeah,
I think they're extremely pissed off.
I hope that it doesn't pass, and I think that W has got a lot of issues. It's really good to have Karen Soley cut an ad, and that stands.
I think they tricked her. I think that, as Dennis Dugard would say, I think she was hoodwinked.
I think her ad stands in contrast with Ed Helms and the lovely Jennifer Lawrence. You know, the proponents could not even find a single South Dakotan to go on television and into a video to say, I support this thing. Nobody in the state. Well,
the guys that would do that, I don't know if you want Frank Kluchak and Stace Nelson.
The other issues, it's got a bunch of potential issues that are going to be very difficult to fix once it's embedded.
That's
into
the whole
Constitution.
idea of it. I keep saying that to everybody. Everyone's like, well, it doesn't. We can't fix this and we can't fix that. That's the whole point.
But the other side of it too, though, is that this measure
we do not want the legislature messing with it.
But the issue is government corruption does not happen.
We get an F. An F.
But I know, but this regulates this measure regulates the legislature more than it regulates the administration. Corruption happens at the administrative level. Let's face it, the legislators are there for 3 months. They hand everything over to the administration that sits under its iron dome.
Why do they go there? They go to enrich their businesses.
It sits there.
That's how they vote.
I'm not saying that anybody that they're not without sin and they haven't done things, but all of the things that we're mad about.
They don't do anything really.
Gear Up, EB5.
They could have all taken care of that. They chose not to.
I know they chose not to, and that's bad. All of this government is happening at the administrative level. There needs to be greater oversight at the administrative level.
So you're saying vote for Billy Sutton?
No, because we can get into that in a second. W does not address any of those issues. And once we figure out, if we find out that the campaign finance limits or the lobbying rules aren't restrictive enough in the state, if we continue to have it,
I don't think we're ever going to go down a path
or people find a workaround to the issue. Do you know how much harder it is to fix that at the constitutional? Because the legislature, if they find a workaround to things, they're not going to propose the amendment. You're going to have to go and circulate and get 10% of the signatures that were elected in the gubernatorial race, and then if X passes, you're going to need 55% of the people to go and issue the fix.
X? Oh, yeah,
X is the supermajority. W might pass. I hope it doesn't. And I think that more people, and you need to go and speak to more people if you don't.
It's a little late tonight. It's the eve of the election. You're screwed on that one.
A lot of people, though, in the state, throughout the state, were upset with the way, with 22, this has got all of the same stuff in 22.
What did Mickelson think was going to happen? Really, seriously.
And because it had a lot of unintended consequences that people were ruling, okay, can you be a teacher who's married to a legislator? Can you be a teacher who's
and that's why the Supreme Court should have looked at it.
I know. And I'm not saying that the legislature did. I'm not saying I agree with how 22 met its demise. I think that the legislature should have hands-offed it, let it go through the courts, because it would have been much better for the Supreme Court.
And they just shot themselves in the foot.
They did. And that's why
this is going to pass.
And that's why we've got W, because these assholes from Massachusetts decided, oh, we don't really care for that. The legislature should have been smart.
Those are your fellow Americans.
I know they are. And I'm an asshole. So I can say it. If the legislature would have left 22 alone, let it go through the courts.
Yep.
The courts would have found it to be unconstitutional.
Some of it.
Unworkable. Some of it not. Most of it, all of the bad stuff that they wanted to get rid of to try to fix, unconstitutional. And then we wouldn't be here because people would have said, well, it's unconstitutional.
Yeah, and now people are angry.
And people would be like, oh, yeah, the courts rule that, this W is not workable because it's unconstitutional. Why would I vote for a constitutional amendment that's unconstitutional?
The other thing...
The legislature should have just hands-offed it and let the courts do it because the courts were going to be friendly to the whims of the legislature.
I'm going to tell you the other reasons why I think people are going to vote for it. You can agree or disagree with me on this, but you sit here and talk about all these unintended consequences that the legislators are going to have to put up with. Do you think the body cares about the legislature? They're a bunch of whiny
I did not say unintended consequences that the legislature has to put up with. Is the unintended consequences of regular South Dakotans. If you're a teacher, you're technically working for government. Your check is coming from state government. These measures go in and say, okay, well now you can't have a relationship with somebody who's employed by an entity that employs a lobbyist. So if you're a science teacher at public school, Roosevelt, okay, science teacher and football coach, wife's a nurse who works at Stanford, guess what? Stanford's got lobbyists. Avera's got lobbyists. Anybody working in the private sector of the state is connected to a lobbyist.
The school district has lobbyists.
And so once you start getting into some of these things, it's
but the teachers don't have a direct relationship with that lobbyist, and neither do the nurses and doctors.
But it doesn't matter if the plain language says can't happen. now it's in the Constitution. It can't happen. This is a bad measure, a very bad measure.
I think you're trying to blow it out way out of proportion. I don't believe that it would be that bad.
I am not. That's what the judge initially ruled, and that's why he put a pause on it last December, or 2 Decembers ago when the lawsuit first came out, and that's when the legislature just said, okay, so they're ruling on this. Let's read the tea leaves. A lot of this is going to go away. We don't have to do anything. Let the courts be the bad guys on this. But I do think that it's very likely that it won't pass, because I do think people were upset about being hoodwinked over Marcy's law and the unintended consequences that brought up, where now you can't know where crime is happening in the state at all because of Marcy's law, and we had to go through a whole constitutional fix for that. And I think people are tired of these out-of-state constitutional amendments coming in and saying, we know what's best for you, South Dakota. So it likely could pass.
You can argue.
I hope that it does not pass. Amendment X, the 55% supermajority. I do think that this will pass again, but passes with less than 55%, and that's the fun irony in that.
I don't think it's going to pass.
I think it'll pass. I think people are more upset than you realize.
I don't think the public is going to want it to have it. No, they're not. I don't. There's a couple people who get in front of a camera and bitch about it, but most people like to have this power, and they're not going to be wanting to. That limits them.
But people don't.
They're like, oh, I got to have 55% now.
But people around the state
are very proud of the initiative referendum process.
I understand this does not get rid of it, but I think that people don't want Kelsey Grammer coming here and saying because I say amend your constitution.
The people love the initiative and referendum process.
And this doesn't.
And it's the state legislators that are constantly trying to get rid of it.
This does not do away with it.
It's only people. State legislatures. It's a small, tiny little amount of people.
This does not do away with it, but this does put.
It chips away at it, and people see that.
It does put a safeguard against.
It's not a safeguard.
It is a safeguard.
It's a stupid number.
If we've got to have 60%.
What is 55% based on? What's it based on?
What's 60%?
It's not based on shit.
What's 60% based on a tax increase? Nothing. It's not based on anything other than that you should have a
supermajority. Then 55% doesn't mean shit either.
No, I know it doesn't.
It doesn't safeguard shit.
No, it doesn't.
And I think most voters are going to go.
But what it does is it does safeguard against a slim majority completely overriding and upending the Constitution.
And a lot of people don't understand it. And a lot of times when people don't understand initiatives, they do one of two things.
They vote no.
Either vote no or they don't vote for it at all. And that's why it's not going to pass.
I think
because people don't get it.
I think the plain language, I think people will see it and people will say, oh yeah, 100% to amend the Constitution, that makes sense to me. A more confusing one is Amendment Z, which is a single issue.
I always forget about that one.
Yeah, most people do.
That might pass.
They could. I don't know. I think it passes. I
voted against it, but I think it could pass.
I've got no opinion on it. I think that if somebody's going to take the time to write an amendment that's going to impact different areas, let them do it. I don't know.
It's the legislature again saying we don't like initiatives and referendums. We're trying to limit them.
Right. Yeah, and
that's all it is.
This one is X is not that. X is holding our Constitution with a little bit more strictness and trying to prevent things that belong within statute from just being dumped in the Constitution. Imagine if Chuck Brennan had been successful in the payday loan thing. We would have payday loan interest rates embedded into our Constitution, and that's just bullshit.
Right.
It does not belong there. A lot of this stuff, a lot of these amendments that are coming forth do not belong in the Constitution.
South Dakota has the longest state constitution in the entire Union.
And that let's hang our hat on that. We don't need it.
Well, the part of that is that they've never made an attempt to clean it up. That's part of the problem. They just keep adding laws and adding laws and adding laws, and no one goes and tries to clean anything up.
And that's why we need the 55%, so the thing doesn't. So the Constitution suddenly just doesn't become like we've got no laws. Everything is just the Constitution.
Yeah.
Right, and then everybody's screwed because then the court can't rule anything unconstitutional.
Well, we don't have. There's a lot of laws that I think we should have that we don't.
I agree.
But on local races, I know you disagree with me, but I still think that the Dems are going to pick up more seats.
I don't know. I think Republicans are going to retain the supermajority. Probably.
Well, yeah, I have no question about that.
Probably pick up a seat or two.
No, I think there's going to be. What I'm trying to basically say is, I think there's going to be more Democrats going to appear in this year than last year.
I don't think so.
You don't think so? No. What do you think?
It's going to stay. It's going to stay.
You don't think so?
I think nationally there will be a blue wave. I think it has no effect here.
I think Saba's going to win. I think that I didn't know if Kelly Sullivan had a chance, but after I saw the ground game that she was playing, I think she could.
She doesn't have a chance. Nice.
You don't think so?
Super nice.
You don't think so?
I don't think, but I don't think she has a chance.
Because Rex just has name recognition. Is that what you're saying? We know Sue's going to win. We know Sue's going to be the top one on that one, but
it's a Republican district. I mean,
well, it used to be Democratic.
It's I don't care what it used to be. It isn't anymore.
Until they took that little flagpole going down to Lincoln County.
So big deal.
I think she has a chance. I think she has a chance.
She's nice. I enjoy visiting with her.
I think Casey Oliver has a chance.
I don't think she has a chance. I don't. What district is she in again?
I don't know. You're on her website all the time. You tell me.
She hasn't put it on the thing on her website. I'm not on her website.
It's that one over on the east side of town.
Is that the Hagar district?
Is it like 25-ish? I don't know. It's weird.
I don't know.
Anyway,
I think I don't.
No, I do think the Dems are going to have more people in Pierre this year than they did last year. Not a lot, 2 or 3.
I think some districts might flip. Saba maybe's got a chance to take.
Saba's got a very good chance
to take Clark seat because Clark is.
Oh yeah.
Nuts.
Yeah.
But okay, but then the Sutton seat flips to Republican.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. So
you got that.
There will be.
Who's running in that?
I don't know. It doesn't.
You don't think Corey's going to beat Al Nostroff?
No.
I know. Poor Corey.
So those guys are like
Corey's just running against the wrong guy.
Those guys are just like Batman and the Joker, and they are just little they're destined to do this for eternity and just fight like this.
Yeah. So I think you're right. I think we'll see some switching, but I don't think that the.
So you think there's going to be a lot of switching going on?
I think there will be.
Dems are not going to raise.
I think that there will be some switching, but Dems are not going to raise.
Okay, nationally, do you think nationally?
And I'll make one final pitch for Christine. If you want government to be cleaned up,
final pitch for Christine
to be cleaned up, don't listen to the Argus leader when they said that Christy Nome has got less incentive to do it. Fine argument, but consider this:
good argument.
If you want government cleanup, because she's not a pure insider. She is going to shake things up, and I've heard rumors of the way she's going to open up government even more.
You think she's going to be transparent?
I
laugh at you.
Number one, she is.
You know what of the first things she did? You know what the first thing she did with Congress? She made sure that farm subsidies weren't listed anymore. So after, did you know we don't know what her farm subsidies were after 2017?
We're not talking federal.
She closed that book. The book's on that.
So I will tell you this:
or $3.7 million she's got in subsidies.
She said that she won't live full time at the governor's mansion.
I don't give a shit.
I know, but
I don't care about it. That's a stupid question.
But
it's South Dakota. Why would you have to live in Pierre?
I think that we should sell the governor's mansion myself.
I do too.
And give the governor a stipend.
Let him work
to have an
apartment
home during session, like everybody else, right?
You don't need to be there.
No. I think she's gonna push for greater technology. She's going to likely. I would not be surprised if she opens up official offices for the office of the governor.
She's doing the pro-life office already. She said
in Rapid City, and in Sioux Falls, and maybe up in Aberdeen. Sort of the way
she's going to grow the cost of government.
She's going to have her constituent offices so that things can be more transparent. I wouldn't be surprised if she cuts the budget and reins in a lot of the wasteful spending that occurs in
She didn't do that when she was in Washington.
But the thing is I think that she understands that government does not have to happen in Hughes County. Government can go to where the people are. And that is a good reason. So, she may have less incentive to clean up government, as the Argus would put it. She has a greater ability.
She has no interest in making it.
She has a greater.
Why would she?
She has a greater ability to make it happen, because if you've got Billy,
she has the ability to make it happen. Why would she?
If you've got Billy's son, because I think that she wants to basically tell Pierre in this old boys club, you guys are done.
Oh,
right.
But
if you want your if you
Kool-Aid, please. Kool-Aid, please. Christy.
Well.
That is never going to change. The Republican Party is never going to change on that one. They love closed government.
If you want your government to come to a grinding halt, and
grinding halt
to be
South Dakota pretty much runs at a grinding halt right now.
To be completely locked up.
Yeah.
And to have an ineffective
it's called supermajority.
governor. Then you elect Billy Sutton and you keep your supermajority.
I'm not voting. I didn't vote for either one. I'm telling you that.
And you keep your supermajority Republican. So that mix is not going to be good. I'm not saying. I'm going to tell you.
I didn't vote for Billy. I didn't vote for Billy because I didn't like his Republican light bullshit.
You like Kurtz.
No, I didn't vote for anybody. But Christie.
I got news for you. I got news for you, Scott.
No way.
The Earth is more than 6,000 years old, buddy.
Christie's going to open the government. You know, Dennis said the same thing. I think Mike Round said the same thing. I think even Janklow might have had this discussion at one time. But guess what? It just kept getting more closed, more closed, more closed. And Christie's going to just put that final nail right in the coffin, and there's not going to be no fucking information coming out of here. What's her incentive? What's her incentive to make open government?
What's Billy's incentive?
He's a Democrat,
and the
Democrats have been closed out of this government because it's been closed. He's got plenty of incentive to open up the government.
Yeah, but he's got zero ability or chance to do it. Zero. None whatsoever.
He can do lots of executive orders. He can veto the shit out of all kinds of legislation.
Oh, I think that's what the supermajority is going to be like, F you. We can override that here, right now.
Sometimes.
Always they will if you've got...
They're going to be happy. They're going to spend a lot of time overriding it.
If you've got Billy
Christie has no incentive to open government. None. I agree. I don't usually agree with the Argus leader Ed Board, but they are exactly right. What is her incentive? To give up? We'll give up all our power? The Republicans have a supermajority and all this power because they keep closed government.
I didn't say...
Why would they want to open it up?
She's got a greater incentive, but if she wants to do it, she's got a greater ability to do it.
If she wants to do it, she don't want to do it.
You don't know that. So
she's never even brought it up.
So
have you even heard Christie talk about it?
Yes.
Never. Never. The only time she talks about it is when she's sitting in a debate next to Billy, and Billy goes, "I want more open government and less corruption." I do too.
Well,
that's the only time she brings it up.
No, that's not true.
That's easy to do.
So we're going to.
It's like Jason Rounsberg.
we're going to move on to national because you've got a busy Monday night of
pretty soon.
Of sitting downtown and watching.
I sit at home
watching mostly old white men and a middle-aged woman and an older woman.
It's a pretty good agenda tonight, actually. But what do you think of national? So
I will say this: if you go to the meeting in person and you get up at public testimony, thank His Honor Mayor Ten Hagen for finally getting in pay stations at the parking lot I've been talking about for all these years. Yeah, they're there. It's great. It's fantastic.
Anyway,
they're going to put them on A Street too on the bridge. Test that out. It's going to be fantastic.
The story is, the Dems probably aren't going to lose Congress, but they need 23 seats to win Senate, to be majority in Senate. Isn't that the case?
No, they need. What is it?
They need
23 seats to win to take the majority in the House. That would be taking the majority by one.
Yeah.
They only need 2 to take
in the Senate. Okay.
But they're defending a lot more seats in the Senate than the Republicans are.
Yeah.
So my thing is
so you think they will get the majority in the Senate?
Republicans are going to net 3 to 4 seats. They're going to grow
in the Senate.
In the Senate, right?
Don't think so.
No, Montana and North Dakota are going to flip. Missouri is likely to flip. Florida is likely to flip. Indiana, West Virginia are all likely
Florida's
to
flip.
It could.
Okay. What do you think is going to happen in Congress?
In the House, the Republicans do have a strong possibility of holding the majority. They will lose seats.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. They will lose seats. But there are some seats that are going to flip from Dem to Republican, including 2 to 3 in Minnesota. And that's going to offset things around the country. Whoever ends up holding the majority, the Democrats are not going to have this huge 38-seat, 60-seat sweep that they all think that they will. Whoever controls,
that's not going to
whoever controls the House is going to control it by a slim margin of 1 to 5 seats.
Ooh, I don't know if it'll be that narrow, but
it's
like the 60. The blue wave is not happening.
No, it's more like a blue dip your toes, and that was kind of cold. I'm not going in the water today. You kind of when you stand at the beach and you let the water just lap your ankle. That's the extent of the wave.
The only thing
it's more like an ankle lap.
Well, the one thing that I have been seeing across the country, and I have no idea. I have no idea how this is going to affect the vote. Everyone talks about the blue wave. I'm an independent, so care less about the fucking women movement and the blue wave and all that other bullshit everyone talks about. But I think with Trump's, I could give a shit less about that stuff. But I think Trump's popularity has been down so much that the Dems are going to do way better in this midterm than they did in the last one.
They're going to do better than last time.
Yes.
But Trump's popularity is not down.
It's actually on the upswing.
Yeah, he's holding steady, if not climbing, somehow.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of...
And the other thing, too,
that's every day, though, I mean...
But when you look at some of these competitive districts, people are calling them competitive because it's a district that Trump lost and Hillary Clinton won. Mm-hmm. By a few points, right?
She won the whole crunch, right?
By a few points. But the Republican Congress...
It was like 2 million votes, I think.
The Republican congressmen and women in those districts won by even wider margins. If the Republicans lose control of the House, it would be because they had so many, like 24 retirements, and they had like a 23-seat margin to play off. And it's because early on, I think a lot of folks got scared of the blue wave and didn't want to be losers. But I think that it's the tide is on the way out, and so we'll see. I mean, those are still Republican. A lot of Republican districts. A lot of things are toss-ups, and if you've got incumbents that are Democrats and toss-up districts, and you're essentially pulling at a statistical heat, that's not a good spot for an incumbent.
I want to talk about one quick thing before we go. And you hear this all the time. Is there voter fatigue? Is there voter fatigue? And it's like, well, you only have to show up once and vote, so I don't know what you'd be fatigued about.
I mean, I guess
I can be honest.
I guess the people in Sioux Falls and Harrisburg might be fatigued, since they had to do it twice in a month.
Yeah. Anyway, I honestly believe that, unlike the presidential election, where a lot of people are at each other's throats about the whole thing and stuff going on, I don't think people around here are bothered by having an election. I think they're very excited about it. I think people have been very positive about this election.
I think that the fatigue isn't there.
No, not at all. I think people have been very positive
if fatigue was there, we wouldn't be setting probably the highest voter turnout in a midterm election in a generation.
I mean, people are very excited about it, and I sometimes get mad at that story because they dig that story out all the time. It's like Scott Hudson and Pat Lally the other day talking about stranger danger on Halloween, and they were laughing. They were like, "That's the safest night of all to take your kids out because there's all these parents out."
Right. Everybody's well lit.
And the news brings up this story: voter fatigue, voter fatigue, voter fatigue. Well, I guess if we would have 20 initiatives on the ballot and stuff like that, maybe some people would be annoyed. But I think people are really excited about this election.
Or if we had a
parliamentary
form of.
And for the most part, all the candidates have been very positive.
Yeah.
Dusty's been positive. Tim's been positive.
The gubernatorial race, they've kind of hit each other.
Been both kind of very negative. Yeah. More Nome than, and I would say same thing. Randy has not been negative at all on Jason. And Jason has been horrible.
I would say
Obama liberal. He's gonna take our guns away.
Go back and watch the Facebook rant video.
It was great. Saylor goes. He doesn't even understand the Constitution and how it works when it comes to guns. Who went to the hunt? And who showed up to the hunt? And Jason didn't.
It's a negative.
Did you know about that?
The
governor's hunt.
I don't
Did you hear
care
about that? The governor's hunt where Jack Lee was there, and Jason was invited, but he was so scared of Randy, he won't debate him, won't show up hunting with him. But Randy was there shooting pheasants. Where was Jason? Mr. Randy Saylor's going to steal our guns away because he loves Obama. Those ads are such horse shit. And so anyway,
Saylor's had his fair share of
Nome and Rounsburg have been very negative, horribly negative. I think everything else has been pretty clean.
The
Saylor hasn't done any TV ads, so I don't have a radio ad, so I don't know what
the dirty little secret though is negative campaigning works.
It does.
Works. Oh yeah,
it works.
And that's why Nome's been doing it.
That's why. It works.
She's been doing it because knows she's down.
Say what you want about Nome. She is a winner, and she knows what works.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I keep saying though, she's the pedestal. And when you get I remember what they did to Daschle. He was majority leader. He was sitting high on the pedestal, and South Dakotans are like, I don't really like it when someone's real popular like that. They're South Dakotans.
Yeah, but the
bam, and they kick the pedestal off from underneath
Such
them.
a high opinion of the voters.
It reminds me of Charlie Brown and Lucy. It's exactly like that.
There's a lot more at play in the Thune-Daschle race than just South Dakotans didn't like Daschle anymore. And Christie just 2 years ago got elected with like 62%. I don't think the state's going to turn their back on.
That's a whole different job.
So I don't. So quickly.
The only congressperson from South Dakota is a lot different than running the state as governor.
Than being the only governor of South Dakota. It's kind
so
of
people may trust her as that, but they might not trust her governor. I still say it's like the Charlie Brown Lucy. It's
I don't
come and kick the football.
Daschle,
pull it out, and that's what people do when they get up on that pedestal.
Part of Daschle's demise was that he had gone to Washington so far, and I think that might happen to
people were mad he was a majority leader. And I used to tell people, what are you mad about that for? It's great. He's the majority leader. That's awesome. It's good things for South Dakota. They didn't see it that way.
No, they didn't.
They saw him on the pedestal.
And now you can't do a lot of this stuff that you used to be able to do as a senator to bring home the bacon, which is for another time. But I could see Thune being pulled off the pedestal a lot sooner than for some of those same reasons.
You think that too? I kind of feel like he's going to like play out the same arc of Daschle, where it's like he basically has become that
right.
same.
But the difference is I don't.
My meeting's going to start here.
I don't think that Senator Thune loses to a Democrat, gets primaried, and because he hasn't come home enough and held enough meetings and been public and visible the way people.
Yeah, Thune ain't gonna lose unless they put up a Daschle against him, something like that.
No. Thune won't lose to a Democrat. He'll never lose to a Democrat.
Yeah.
He would lose from somebody challenging him in the primary.
Right.
This is a rumor.
The era of Democrats being elected to national office in South Dakota is over. Daschle and Johnson were an anomaly in the grand history. In the grand history of South Dakota, they were an anomaly. Just go back and look at how many times we've actually elected Democrats. They were there for a while, but we like incumbents, and that's about
we
it.
do.
So they're an anomaly.
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Christie's really not an incumbent, though. This is the first time she ran for governor.
No, I know. I'm not saying that she's an incumbent. Most of the time we like incumbents. But Thune had come very close to winning the Johnson Senate seat, and that was the Bush War on Terror years, and it was a big, expensive thing. So Thune was on a huge upswing, and Daschle just happened to have to get an out-of-state hunting license.
Okay, one plug-in before we go. That's our predictions. Public input, they usually do their thing on Tuesday nights with the city council. They're doing a special election thing tomorrow night at Club David. I probably won't attend. The last few years I've been liking sitting at home by myself watching election results.
Drowning your sorrows.
Well, I'm usually drinking a lot on that night, and it's usually not because of celebration. Even though, I gotta tell you...
So are you saying that you've colluded with the Russians by drinking too much vodka on election night?
Well...
Do we need to call Robert Mueller?
But
I saw Scott with a bottle of Stoli.
Well, council races, I've had a lot of successes. Teresa, Neitzer, Brecky, well, I've been helping someone out with it. I don't want to say who it is yet, but I've been helping someone out with the legislative race. Bruce and I have, and I think that person's got a very good chance. So
when that person loses, will you tell us?
You probably already know who it is. Yeah. So anyway, cool. Thank you.
Don't forget
Good
to
luck,
vote,
and
don't
just
vote.
remember,
Option too.
no matter what happens tomorrow, people, we're still going to live in a Republican state.
Well, and not voting is a way of exercising your voice too. If you undervote or whatever, that's not showing that you support or oppose anything. You got a lot of options.
That's right.
Got a lot of options tomorrow.
You can do like I did. I didn't vote for anybody in the governor's race. Probably made Billy mad, but oh well.
Or vote for Christie. It'd be great.
Don't do that.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
a production of the SiouxEmpire.com.